Welcome back to the Film Bros podcast. I'm your host JP. This is my co-host Josh.
Hello.
We're back for another review. We're doing MCU Phase 4 movie review. So if you guys tuned into our last episode, we're breaking down the MCU Phase 4. We ranked the shows for you guys. So if you guys haven't seen that, it will be posted before this video. So go check that out on... Where can they check it out at?
YouTube, depending on when it goes up. Will also be, you can check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify at FilmBros Podcast. And if you want to follow us and leave comments, TikTok and Twitter, same handles.
Yes, sir. Today we're going to be doing the MCU Phase 4 movies. We're going to go ahead and break those down. We will be putting out another one with the TV shows and the movies put together, and where Phase 4 kind of ranks for us within the MCU as a whole. So make sure you guys follow, subscribe, click the notifications to, look out for those episodes coming up. With that, we're just going to dive right in, all right? This year, or in the span of Phase 4, between 2021 and 2022, we got about 7 movies. We got more shows than we did movies, which MCU has been pumping out a lot of content. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna start from 2021. The first one released, I was Black Widow, the opening for Phase 4, directed by Kate Shortland. Rotten Tomatoes scored 79%. Got an audience score of 91%. So audience liked it a little bit better than the critics themselves. Next, we had Shang-Chi. That one was directed by Destin Daniel Cretton. Heard that he's directing King Dynasty for the next Avengers movie, correct?
Yeah.
So that's going to be coming out. This Shang-Chi got a Rotten Tomato score of 91% with a 98% audience score. So, audience
really well.
Yeah. Did really well in the box office as well. Eternals, directed by Chloe Zhao. Rotten Tomatoes score 47% with the audience score of 77%.
Mm-hmm.
Big disconnect with this one. Big disconnect.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Spider-Man No Way Home, directed by John Watts.
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes score 93%. Audience score at a 98%. Then we got Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, directed by Sam Raimi himself. Okay. Got a Rotten Tomatoes score of 74%, but audience score at 85%. We also got Thor: Love and Thunder that came out, directed by Taika Waititi.
Yep.
Rotten Tomatoes score is 64%. Audience score is 77%.
Mm-hmm.
And Black Panther: Wakanda Forever by Ryan Coogler. Coogler. I really did. I added more letters than what was necessary. Ryan Coogler. Rotten Tomatoes score 84% with a 95% audience score. So did really well with the audiences. Still at the time recording this, I believe got number 1 at the box office for 3 weeks in a row. So we're gonna jump right in there, start giving our opinions.
Yeah.
We're gonna go from 7. So give us your worst and go all the way down.
Yeah.
I don't know who ended the last episode, but we'll start with you.
Okay.
And when we get around the halfway mark, we'll have a little sidebar. Let's get it. Number 7.
Number 7. No shocker here for me, at least. My last one is Thor: Love and Thunder. I didn't like this movie. I couldn't get into it. The comedy isn't for me. There was nothing really sustaining that made me feel like give it a chance. I just can't. I couldn't watch it. I didn't even watch this one in theaters because I knew I wouldn't like the direction due to trailers and shit. So yeah, 7 on a scale out of 10. This is 2, 3 max. I'm being generous going up to 4, but around there.
2, 3 max.
Yeah. Wasn't vibing with this movie.
All right. And why give it that score? Why give it the 2 or the 3?
Because again, I couldn't get into this movie. I didn't like the comedy. I didn't like Gore felt wasted. Christian Bale felt wasted. I didn't enjoy Thor, I didn't enjoy the love triangle thing with Stormbreaker, Thor, and Mjolnir. Yeah, no, I just couldn't. And then a lot of the CGI was terrible. Like, this movie just had so many cons and so little pros. Like, I don't even even thinking about it now, I don't think I have any like positives for this movie. It's just, it was so bad for me. I couldn't.
Man, all right. With that, moving on. And you know what? For my number 7, I'm right on par with you. I gotta agree with you with it. It had to be Thor, Thor: Love and Thunder. It really sucks for me because Thor has really been a shining character in the MCU, at least for me. He had a rocky start in the beginning. Well, actually, the first movie I thought was really well done. It was really hated in the beginning, and now it's finding the love that it deserves for some reason. But it seems like movies tend to do that on the internet. Then went to the second movie where Chris Hemsworth gave his all, but at the end of the day, the bad movie couldn't, he couldn't save the bad movie, but you could tell he loves the character. With the third one, you can tell he was having a blast. That one, they were having fun. In my opinion, they kind of got to that place, that middle ground where everything can go right for Thor, and then they just, I felt like they dropped the ball with this one, and I felt like Thor's has been around for a while, and he can actually have been doing a lot more within the movie, and it just seems like there were like a lot of the good tones within the movie, or at least the ones that were supposed to make you feel something, were overshadowed by cheesy comedy that was just inserted in there repeatedly, like laughing goats. And then you're supposed to take in the movie, you're supposed to take Jane's illness seriously, and you can't even do that because right after she explains her illness, right after, there's a stupid joke right there. This movie did not get my money at the box office. Disney Plus has taken my money for it, and I only watched it one time. This one, bottom of the poll for me for Phase 4. Everything wrong with Phase 4 is felt within this movie, in my opinion. You feel it. The bad CGI, the corny writing, the bad jokes.
Yeah.
Everything just feeling so rushed, and like I said, the premises could have been good if they were fleshed out a little bit more and took in seriously, but they couldn't even do that. I seen this deleted scene that they had put out after the movie was released, and it was a different introduction for Zeus, and I feel like they could have kept that one in the movie, and it would have done better for the movie than what they put in there for the movie itself. I don't know if you've seen that. Maybe you want to go check it out.
I haven't seen it.
We'll put a link in the description if you guys are trying to check that out. But there is one out there. But overall, this movie, I had to give it a 4. Not the best MCU entry, like I said, and you could tell that they were looking for quality over quantity when they were making this movie, and it's a shame. It's a shame. I really liked Thor's arc up. I would say it got a little shaky for me in Endgame, but now that Love and Thunder came out, it kind of made it a little bit worse for me. But
yeah, man, I don't know.
It is what it is. So. Anything to dispute with that one?
No, this one was just, it deserves
we agree.
Yeah.
We agree. All right, we're agreeing, y'all. Moving on to number 6. What is your number 6 pick?
My number 6 pick is Black Widow.
Okay.
This movie wasn't too bad for me. I just felt it was really out of place. Like, it came out of nowhere, straight out of the pandemic. Struggling to push itself out, and it finally came out, but I don't know, it feels like they could have went a whole nother direction with this movie. Like, I would have preferred to see what the fuck was going on in Budapest with Hawkeye and Black Widow, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think we needed to know where she was in Civil War, other than be like, oh, she was probably in hiding with the rest of them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, the story was out of place. Like, we get cool characters. Like, I kind of liked Yelena and the Russian Captain America. but it wasn't enough to save this movie for me. I don't think.
Red Guardian.
Red Guardian, yeah. But they weren't enough to save the movie from this ranking. Unfortunately, a lot of the action was CGI was kind of bad too in some cases. The villain, I guess, like Taskmaster isn't the villain. I guess he's like the villain's muscle or whatever, the bodyguard. She was cool. I hope we get to see more of her when she shows up in Thunderbolts. Get a little bit in depth with her, but like her character felt lacking, if that makes sense. And even the dude that was controlling the Red Room felt lackluster also. Like, we know why Black Widow was going after him and stuff, but he just didn't feel like the big bad to me for some reason. But I enjoyed it a little bit better than Love and Thunder because of Yelena and Red Guardian. David Arbor is like, he's funny. He's a funny guy. So, I just slightly above Love and Thunder. I'd probably give this maybe like a 5.
A 5?
It was very like middle for me.
Okay, all right. I think we're on the same page with this one as well. Same wavelength.
Yeah.
I'm putting this one at my 6th slot. Black Widow as well. Black Widow came too late, in my opinion. Way too many years too late.
Yeah,
she should have been one of the first of Avengers solo movies, and even the opening credit screamed early 2000 action movie. Or like
spy movie. Like I feel like they should have went that way. Like the intro alone feels so disconnected from the rest of the movie. I think
exactly. So like it just felt like her time had already passed from the jump. I did like some of the scenes within the movie. I did like, Red Guardian in there. David Harbour actually does a good job. Mm-hmm. Can't wait to see him again. I liked Florence Pugh's. CGI was just, and they blame it on the whole VFX pipeline and all that because of the pandemic and everything. And I can't, I can't speak on it. I don't know about that, but I think that they could have, done a little bit better with the CGI. Her powers I thought she didn't have any powers, but that was a big disconnect in the movie. I mean, at one point she jumped off this highest building, hit everything on the way down, slammed the floor, and she got up without a scratch. But then the other one broke her whole body. So it just felt weird and out of place, and it's funny because I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite, and that's fine. But it's kind of like when Star Wars fans say, "I know where this is going, so there's really no point." I kind of feel like the MCU did not pull off the killing the character off and giving them those stakes to feel like they're in actual danger in this movie. This whole movie, I knew what was gonna happen. She was gonna make it to Endgame or Infinity War, die in Infinity War, and that was gonna be the end of it. And they didn't help us feel that tension there, like I felt like they did in Andor, in movies that they the prequel movies in Star Wars and all that. So
I just feel like this movie should have been about Clint and Nat's relationship. Maybe in Budapest. Like, show us why they meant so much to each other. You know what I mean? So that way we can get that weight, and maybe it'll help the movie out a bit. But instead, I don't know. They went this whole other direction. Again, it's not the worst, because Love and Thunder is the worst, but it's also not the best either. So it's just, I don't know, it's an average movie for me.
Yeah, I also got to give it a 5. Yeah. Like I said, it had the typical MCU problems and benefit, it being late and also still having those problems for a movie that was long overdue. Mm-hmm. It kind of just feels like a slap to the face. It was an okay movie. It didn't have too bad of things. The villain was lackluster, like you said. So give it a 5. And good job, Scarlett Johansson, for getting your money for missing out on that whole the box office fiasco that happened with all that good for her. She got her money. Done deal. Mm-hmm. Who cares if your movie sucked? You got paid. Yeah. All right, moving down to number 5. What's your next one in the list?
Number 5, Eternals. I like this movie. I like this one better than the other two. Again, not by much because it is the fifth slot out of 7 movies, but like I enjoyed most of what was going on. Like I liked Icarus and Kango and all of them. They were really like good together on screen, and Icarus made a good villain. Um, Other than that, I thought it was pretty like solid. I guess my main problem was the the whole love, not love triangle, but like fight triangle, I guess you can call it, where it was like you had the big bad turning bad, and then you had Icarus, and then you also had the Eternal coming out of the ground.
Mm.
So it just, that one felt like it did have too many pots going on in the kitchen or whatever the fuck they say. Um, but a lot of the actors did carry it. Like the dude that played Kango, Icarus, he did good. The um not what is her name? Um,
Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie. She was in it. She did pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I just feel like they all did their part to bring it together. It just didn't work out too well. I did like the cinematography in this one. Uh, I think a lot of it was shot on location, pretty good. So I mean, not too bad. Just not the best, I guess. I'd probably give it like a 6, a little bit better than mid, I guess. But again, it feels like it deserves the slot only because the actors pushed it a little bit further, and then it just falls flat because of the villains and stuff, and the fact that it was trying to do quite a bit for a movie, for an origin movie. Pretty sure.
Yeah. You know, gotta agree with you. My number 6 slot, same thing. The Eternals. Before we move on, what was your number for it?
6. Give it like a 6.
A 6 flat.
Yeah.
All right. With the Eternals, fun fact: it's the worst Rotten Tomato score in the MCU has gotten, which is crazy because this one, I feel like this one actually took the leap into a little bit a difference within the MCU. Um, Still, to me, I like the shot on location, but yeah, I think it suffered from those problems where it had a lot of plots going on.
Yeah.
One of the monsters really didn't need to be in there, but it was there for to basically clean up wherever the loose ends were.
Yeah.
And that's just basically what it felt like. Character development kind of lacked in this one. Pacing was good. Kind of a couple slow parts within the movie, but the CGI was a little bit better in this one. I kind of feel so. I had to give it a little bit of point for that, but you could tell, and Phase 4 struggled with this a lot as well. Is you could tell they are trying to do a singular vision and try to do something different, but they still have to follow the MCU rules.
Yeah.
And I feel like or I think that there a lot of the problems within Phase 4 is rooted to Kevin Feige keeping everybody on a leash while they're trying to he's saying to run free but don't go too far, and
Yeah.
I kind of feel like this movie kind of suffered from it being something ambitious and trying to be a little bit more serious and take itself serious, and and it just couldn't quite deliver that because of the restraints that it had. And a lot of the connectivity, the repercussions didn't really feel like repercussions because, well, I've said it before in different pods. If you guys want to go check those out, they're on YouTube. But there's a giant man, a giant Eternal out of the ocean, and there hasn't been any repercussions for it. Haven't seen anything happen within the MCU. I think they referred to it one time in She-Hulk, and that was in the newspaper. That it wasn't even read or anything that. So, I think that's one thing. The performances were really held up by the cast. Selma Hayek was in there. She was really good. Gemma Chan, she was in Don't Worry, Darling. She did a good performance within this movie as well. Icarus was good. So a lot of the performances, and it's cool that they're getting more, in my opinion, a little bit more heavy hitters with actors, because a lot of the actors they've been getting recently, because they already got a lot of the big known actors,
Yeah.
and a lot of the big known actors are also over there at DC too,
Yeah.
so can't really do too much. But getting actors from like Game of Thrones and those heavy hitters
Yeah.
that people love to see really helps with this movie. But overall, I gotta give this movie the number 5 slot, and I gotta give it a flat 6.
Yeah.
It was a good movie. Kind of wowed me here and there. Like I said, held back by the restraints of Kevin Feige. Um, it wasn't like a big enough movie to throw more things in there to make it be better, and I kind of feel like that's where Kevin Feige kind of lacked. If they would have put the Black Knight in there or something, and gave a lot of this stuff a payoff, it would have been better. But it felt like there was no payoff in
I
this
know
movie.
it was really, now that you mention it, I totally forgot he was in there and he's supposed to show up, and then they throw in Blade as a voice
At the end in the post credit.
Yeah, I totally forgot about all that.
Yeah.
And then that's like his first appearance, but it's only his voice.
Mm-hmm.
Like that just doesn't make sense. I feel like that was more of like a, oh hey, we're still connected. Like here's Blade. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I don't know. I just think it's not the best, but it also isn't the worst. Like I don't think it deserves that Rotten Tomato score either. I just know a lot of people were salty about the diverse cast and whatever else. But yeah, just 6. I think it just deserves a 6.
Yeah, I give it a 6 as well. I can't really put it any higher. They did their thing in the movie, but hopefully, we learned from the mistakes of Phase 4. Start figuring out that quality's a little bit better.
Yeah.
I like I said, I like the director's vision. I think she was on the right track. It just I felt like restraints were holding them back, and like I said, it's a repeat offender within the MCU Phase 4.
Mm-hmm.
Happened within the TV shows, happening within the movies in a different way. With that, number 4. What's your number 4 pick? Let everybody know.
My number 4 pick is actually Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
Yeah. I like this one.
You thought this was gonna be a boring video that we just agree, but
all
right.
I like this one. I like this one quite a bit. And again, I know I give it the slot. It's because I know there's on my list there's more better than it, but I feel within top 5 is where it deserves to be. It's a lot of good action, a lot of callbacks to Rush Hour and stuff. I feel like only reason I gave it the 4th slot was because I don't know, the 10 rings isn't doing it for me, I guess. Like they set him up in Iron Man 3, and I feel like it was just a cop out. They were like, oh, they didn't like that he wasn't real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now they're like, no, the Mandarin's real. Like even the dude that played him in Iron Man 3's in jail because he tried to fake being him and stuff. And I'm like, nah, that feels like a cop out to me. You know what I mean?
Like they wrote themselves in a corner.
Yeah, and so they were like, oh no, he's real. You know what I mean? Like he was just pretending. Like I don't know. I wasn't too thrilled about it. It did have a lot of good action scenes and stuff. The main Samuel Lee, something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
He does this thing. I'm not knocking his performance. His best friend or whatever was also
Simu Liu.
Oh, Simu Liu. Yeah.
Well, I was Samuel. I
thought that was his name. My bad.
I was like, who's Samuel? Wait, hold on.
He does this thing. The actress that was playing his best friend, she's funny. I've seen her in a couple of projects that I can't really remember the name of right now. I liked most of it. It's just, again, I wasn't vibing with the 10 rings. And it's weird that they changed them to bracelets, which was probably because they were like, oh, it looked too similar to the Infinity Stones or whatever. But I don't know. I felt like it would have been fine if they just kept them to rings instead of bracelets. I don't know. But it's not the worst. And again, it's not the best, but it does deserve to be top 5. I give it like a 8, 7.5 maybe.
Okay, I gotta disagree with you there. I'm only gonna say that because it's I don't know. I kind of feel like Shang-Chi kind of did a little bit more within that movie than a few other movies that were put on this list. But we'll dive into that in a little bit. But for me, number 4, I gotta put Black Panther: Wakanda forever.
See.
All right. So, and I know what y'all thinking. How dare you? It's a masterpiece. You good? Now, look. All right. The movie was slow. Okay, we gotta keep it a buck. The movie was a little slow. All right. Not a lot of action. We knew who the Black Panther was gonna be. You know, I walked in there thinking it was gonna be Shuri. They didn't really hold it as a surprise within their merch, and you know, McDonald's was selling the toys before it even came out, the movie. So like they didn't really keep it as I thought they were doing that, and it was gonna be a fake out in the movie, and it was gonna be somebody else. Spoiler alert: if you haven't seen it, it's been out for 3 weeks already. It didn't happen. Shuri's the Black Panther. Um, I kind of felt like we have a full review for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever in our YouTube. So if you guys are wanting to listen to that, go ahead. I'm gonna dive into a couple points that I brought up in that one, but in that one I kind of felt like I was watching a bunch of side characters. There wasn't a lot to happen. Namor, even though he was the villain, you knew he wasn't gonna be the villain the whole movie. You know, he did some bad shit, but didn't do bad enough shit to, you know, not be able to walk away from them or, you know, kill him like every other villain. I felt like Killmonger did worse shit and he could have probably lived and had a better redemption arc than, you know, Namor. But they didn't even try to almost kill him. They, I said before the fight scenes were lackluster. The final battle was completely bad in my opinion. There was no way. But it's fine. I still believe that they should have recasted T'Challa, and it could have probably done a little bit better for the movie as a whole. But what they did with it, it was good, but it wasn't enough for me. And I kind of felt like, you know, CGI was a problem within this one as well, obviously. So, but where it does rank a little bit higher within the Phase 4, it's not too much for me. I'm giving it a 6.5 at my 4th slot. You know, it was good. The little tributes within the movie really picked it up a little bit better for me, but barely, just a little bit more than Eternals. I couldn't put it any higher. It just wasn't. The movie wasn't not better. I prefer the first Black Panther. I know, like I said, I'm still judging it on its own merits and within the Phase 4 itself, but gotta give it that. Yeah. What do you think? I see you thinking of something. You gotta say something.
Yeah, no, man, I don't agree with this one.
No.
I feel so much differently about it. Like, I didn't think it felt slow, and I enjoyed a lot of the action scenes. The final fight makes sense to me. While the CGI, I'll agree with you there. Some of the CGI was hit and miss, but there was also a lot of beautiful CGI scenes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I don't know. I don't think it deserves a 4th slot. If I'm being for real,
Phase 4 wasn't it wasn't full of the heavy hitters, but it did its thing, and I feel like with what they had to work with, you know, Chadwick Boseman's passing, you know, RIP. I'm sorry for that. They had to keep the show going. If they were gonna keep the show going, I kind of felt like they could have just recasted him and just kept moving. But you know, I get the respect part, and you know, I applaud them for trying, and they did do a moving tribute for him. The opening credits where it was quiet, you know, that was very beautiful too, and just photos of him. But beyond that, this movie didn't really have a lot of sentiment. A lot of the characters felt the same. Riri and Shuri felt the same to me. Angela Bassett's performance really stood out for me. She saved a lot of the scenes that she was in. I liked Okoye having a little bit more. It's just it wasn't enough, and there wasn't enough story. And you know, Namor being the villain but not really didn't really help either. So they could have done better. They could have done better, and you know it.
No, not better.
Eventually, one day you're gonna look back and you're gonna be like, you know what, you were right.
No,
you were right. They could have done better.
No, and especially if you think the first one's better. No.
How much Marvel paying you?
No,
how much they paying you?
They're not paying me anything. I'm doing this for free.
My boy being paid out here. With that, you know, let's move on to number 3. What's your number 3 slot? Come on. Top 3.
My number 3 slot is Spider-Man No Way Home.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. See, okay. Fun fact about my boy Josh here, as obviously we're actual bros. He used to love Spider-Man.
I
would
still
have
do. It hasn't changed.
Okay, it hasn't changed, but I would have thought you would have put this one a little bit higher. Let me hear.
No,
Let me hear.
It would have. Okay, let me get to that because it deserves. I think it should have been higher, but
yeah,
my 2 that are 1 and 2 for a reason, knock it out of the water. If I could be like, nah, these are tied for second, I would, but because we decided on our ranking system, it's not happening. So I had to give it to number 3. It isn't. It's really good. I enjoyed a lot of it. Like again, like right off the bat, we got Toby back. We got Andrew back. I love that. Like that those are my shit. So this was the first Spider-Man movie in the MCU where I felt like, okay, I'm vibing with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I like seeing Doctor Strange. I like seeing the villains back. Willem Dafoe does his thing. Seeing Doc Ock come back, also really great. A lot of this, if I had to get into the cons of it, it was just probably CGI and no, probably just CGI. A lot of it was like, again, you could blame the pandemic or the pipeline, whatever, but like the scene where they're fighting in the mirror dimension looked really weird. The lizard looked weird at some points. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man and Tobey's Spider-Man look weird. But again, it's not that it's bad. Like I'm not one of those people that are gonna be like, oh, the story doesn't hold up anymore, whatever. It's all nostalgia. Like no, I think it does still hold up. Even past the whole movie theater hype and stuff. But it's just that I know it lacks in CGI and stuff. But again, no, if I could place it higher, I would. Or if I could have it fight for a slot, I would. But I know I can't. So top 3. It deserves top 3.
Top 3, and what's the score?
The score, 9. Give it a 9.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Damn. And the last one, you just gave it a 6, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And you're jumping all the way to a 9 with that one?
Yes.
Damn.
It was really good. I'm telling you,
The other 2 are fighting for their lives for that 10, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, alright.
Yep.
Interesting.
What's your number 3?
So, my number 3, loved the movie. It was great. Performances were cool. Multiverse of Madness.
I knew it. I fucking knew it.
It had to be Multiverse of Madness. So, I love Doctor Strange. Love Sam Raimi. Love the direction they were going with this movie. Just didn't. Alright, there was a lot of rumors that there was a lot of reshoots. A lot of deleted scenes that were cut. That they put them out there already. And, you can tell a lot of it was what Sam Raimi wrote. And they seen it or heard it and said, you know what, that's too much. We got to pull it back. I would have felt this movie would have benefited well off a rated R rating. But they didn't push the envelope that far, unfortunately. And a lot of the horror elements that Sam Raimi put in were effective, but yet fell flat because of jokes that, Trample did and, did all that afterwards. Because, they wanted to make it scary, but not too scary. There was scenes where, you could tell it went full Sam Raimi, but there were some scenes that went full MCU, and you could really feel that difference. Though I did feel for it being a horror movie within the MCU, it did appeal to me a little bit more because I'm a sucker for horror movies. I love horror movies. And Sam Raimi being attached to it, I'm a big fan of The Evil Dead. Ash and the Evil Dead, that's great too. So it could have been put up higher. There was just CGI affects every single one of these projects in my list. I'm keeping it a buck. MCU needs to work on their CGI. They got to do something about it. They got to slow down if they can't keep up. But this one was very CGI heavy, and it it had a problem.
Pay the people. That's what they gotta do.
Yeah,
They gotta pay the people.
yeah, that's true. I mean, even if they get paid, I mean, you got to understand, and I think a few of them came out and said so. The VFX, like Marvel Studios, is quick to switch things up on a dime, and they have the money to pay for it, obviously, but you know, at at what point do you have to say no? This product's done. I cannot change it up for you after this certain point, and because they want business, they're gonna keep accommodating themselves, and it's gonna hurt the company. Yeah, but that's all a bunch of different stuff. But Doctor Strange within Phase 4 had to hit my top 3 because Sam Raimi directed it. It was a good horror. Elizabeth Olsen went crazy as the villain. I hope to see her as the villain a little bit more, maybe a little bit more aggressive. I liked seeing a lot of the heroes in the Illuminati, Charles Xavier, uh, John Krasinski as Reed Richards. He was cool. Peggy Carter. Seeing Monica Rambeau's mom as Captain Marvel was pretty cool. So it had a lot of elements that fed into it. It's just CGI. A couple of the plots didn't hold up, and just little things. I think the reshoots probably hurt it. Like I said, you can tell when it's Sam Raimi and then when it's tweaked to hit that MCU feel, and kind of suffer from that.
Yeah.
With that, I got to give it a 8.5. This one's jumping a couple decimals on mine. On my last one I gave it a 6.5. I got to give this one an 8.5. It delivered as much as it could. I appreciate Sam Raimi for pushing the envelope with this one. This one is a better movie out of Phase 4. Not perfect, but a lot better than what the rest did. But yeah.
Okay.
Top 3.
I guess. Okay.
Can you kind of agree? Kind of see where I'm coming from?
I see where you're coming from.
You see it?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Slot 2.
What you got?
My second slot is Multiverse of Madness.
Okay. All right. You're putting it one above mine? Or
yeah.
Why is that?
I honestly, this one held slot 1 for the longest. Like ever since Black Widow came out, like this one has been my favorite. I like that Sam Raimi was directing it. That's a plus for me right off the gate. I know it did suffer reshoots and a script change. I know it was gonna have Nightmare originally, which would have been dope, but I like what we got instead. I like seeing Doctor Strange do his thing. Wanda was a savage coming straight out of WandaVision. I like the horror element. Sam Raimi does really well with what he can do. Honestly, if they would have pushed for that rated R, I would have loved to have seen Captain Carter's guts spill out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like that they explore the multiverse. I know they can't get too crazy with it because they do have to keep the story moving forward. But we saw some really cool like universes. I liked America Chavez. She was really cool. Can't wait to see more of her wherever she shows up at. I like seeing the Illuminati. I like hearing how they handled Thanos and stuff. John Krasinski as Reed Richards. I know people don't have a problem with his performance. I don't get it. I enjoyed it for what it was. You're not gonna get Shakespearean shit out of like a 5-minute, cameo or whatever.
Of course.
We also get to see Bruce Campbell in it. He was funny. I don't know. His little scene was funny.
Yeah, I don't know why they cut him out. Like I heard he did a good scene.
Yeah. He was gonna be like, I guess he was gonna be another Earth Doctor Strange or something like that. Something like that.
Yeah.
But again, that's all due to reshoots. Fuck you, Kevin Feige. But this one was my favorite for a minute. If I could have experienced it again in theaters, I would, because I liked it that much. Like there's barely any negatives for this one for me, and the fact that I liked one just a bit more that it lost the slot, but this one deserves to be number 2 for sure.
Yeah, I gotta say, what made this movie, at least Doctor Strange, top three for me, was seeing Black Bolt's head implode.
Oh yeah,
That was insane for me, and to see it in an MCU movie, and it crazy enough, and fun fact, his suit was all CGI, obviously, and even the CGI to make his head explode was really well done. And I think it deserves its recognition. It was great. It was, it was a great scene.
If it was rated R, I have no doubt we would have seen it pop like a cherry instead of like
Inside of the helmet.
inside his head. You know what I mean? We would have seen Captain Carter's body just guts spill out, split in half. We would have seen Monica Rambeau's mom squished like a bug. You know what I mean? We would have seen blood when Reed was getting torn up like spaghetti noodles.
Yeah, it would have. Like I said, it near perfect, but it had some hiccups. MCU holding it back.
Yeah,
as always.
But it was really good for what it was. I still enjoyed it. The end, I really like the ending too. I hope we see more of Scarlet Witch going forward. I don't know if they're gonna give her own solo project or not. I know people are campaigning for it. I wouldn't mind it because I do like her. I like Elizabeth Olsen. She's great. But it's second because
she got WandaVision already.
Well, yeah, but that's not a movie for people. You know what I mean? Some people want to see her do her own thing in a movie.
Yeah, that's true. I want to see her go full blown villain again.
Yeah,
I like her in that.
Yeah, she did really great. Her scenes where she was scaring the shit out of her counterpart. I like those scenes too. If I had to nitpick and be like, what's my problem with it? It's just probably that scene where the two kids are singing about ice cream or whatever.
Oh my god,
that's it. That's the
man.
That's the only complaint. That's the only complaint I have about this movie. I don't know why they put that in the movie. But other than that,
I've never put that in the movie.
Other than that, it has number 2 because I liked my number 1 just a bit more. I gave this one 9.5.
9.5.
So good.
Putting it up there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I dig it. My number 2 got to be Shang-Chi.
Okay.
The Legend of the Ten Rings. It's a great addition. It's, to me, the action was great in that movie. Completely great. It was action-packed. The pacing was great. Kept the movie going with every single scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the whole Mandarin plot did kind of feel like a cop out because it felt like they wrote themselves in a corner, but the way they stunted and landed that, I kind of felt deserves points because they really actually got the character to come back from Iron Man 3 to show that it's connected within the MCU. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And within the MCU, for me, connectivity is a big issue. And that's why a lot of the movies that I put down below, connectivity is not really there. I know Thor had Guardians of the Galaxy. You could know when it's forced and when it's written in seamlessly.
Yeah.
And I feel like Shang-Chi did that. I did a little research and I've seen some videos where, people are saying it goes all the way back to Iron Man 1 when he was kidnapped by those people in the desert and, the 10 rings behind him. And, it kind of carried all the way through. I don't mind the change. Like I said, I don't mind changes within comic to movie translation if it works well within the movie. A lot of the fight scenes that we got with the rings or the bracelets were really sick, and I felt like they wouldn't have been able to do that with rings. It would have looked ridiculous. So I felt like it was a good change to make the movie better and more exciting. The fight sequences, I'm gonna say it again, the word dope. The acting was great. I liked Simu Liu in there. I like the story on how he got there. Going from "Hey Marvel, we need to talk" on Twitter to actually being the star. His co-star, I don't know her name right now, off the top of my head, but she. Oh, no, that's not her. She was a really good comic relief within the movie, and the father's acting. I know he was a actual actor in China, and doing his first American role within that movie. He killed it. You could feel the emotion. Like I said, it has a lot of mommy, daddy issues within the MCU, but this one was, daddy issues, and you can see how they kind of handle it there. Or wait, is it more daddy issues? It's mostly daddy issues, huh?
Mostly daddy.
Never mind. They're still sticking with the trope, but the emotion between them, you can actually tell, like he's the father who feels like his son is, not on the same page as him.
Yeah.
And I really feel like you can feel the emotion in this movie, and it was really well done. I really like that they're giving the director the keys to the Kang Dynasty for the next Avengers movie. This one, I got to give it a 9, flat 9. It was great. CGI held up for the most part. There was a couple scenes, but it did do a little bit better. This one kind of, only because of the CGI, it kind of fought hand in hand with my first slot, but ultimately my first slot had to take it, and I had to put this one at the second because it just couldn't outdo what the first one did. And with that, is going to lead us into the next one, slot 1. What's your number 1? Let me know. Go ahead.
My number 1 is Wakanda Forever.
You're smoking crack out of a pipe. I already knew it. I knew it.
No. I just really like this one. I don't know, and it was shocking to me too, because when we left the theater, I told you it beat out Doctor Strange, and that was my number 1 forever. Like, even after No Way Home came out, like, that's how I was kind of like, no way, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it took number 1 from No Way Home so easily, and then just Black Panther Wakanda Forever did it again. Like a lot of the other ones, they deserve their slots, but I was really struggling for top 3 with these ones. But I liked it so much. The acting was really good from all parties. No complaints. Like I enjoyed seeing Shuri, her journey to get over her brother's death, child's death. Same with the queens. Okoye did her thing, and M'Baku did his thing. Shuri, not Shuri, Riri Williams, she did her thing. What do you call it? I know her suit looked wonky. That's a con. Sorry, I don't know.
Power Ranger ass suit.
I don't know what they were thinking. Like, I can't. There's nothing that I can say that really like changes that for me, because it was really weird. I know this again. I could reason it and be like, oh, the show's gonna make it better, whatever. But this was her debut, and they kind of fucked her on it. You know what I mean?
And that's what I was telling you. Like, they went from Iron Man having these realistic ass suits looking clean, even his nanotech suit in Infinity War, and this one for it to be the first one that they show, and her very first appearance, it just felt lackluster.
Yeah, and and I know that's probably where they exhausted their CGI and stuff, which I give to you. Like, I understand that, and like they had all this Wakanda tech, but they couldn't make her suit a little better. Like, that's a con for me. Like, it took me out a bit, but seeing Namor, the underwater scenes, and like everything else come together overshadows it for me enough to be like, okay, this movie does really well everywhere else, and I hope when next time they learn that not to give her a Power Ranger ass suit. I was also thinking that they were gonna go another route with the Black Panther. I don't think they should. If they were gonna recast, they could have, but the fact that they didn't and went the way they went, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
But it feels more heartfelt toward Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace, and all that. That they went this way, gave him the send off. I like Namor. He was a menace. I can't wait to see more of him. I hope there's no. I hope he shows up soon, because I don't know if he's owned by anyone else.
Yeah, there's been some rumors going around that there was supposed to be a show that was supposed to take off for him, but him and the Hulk still have 2 more years at Universal. If they don't put out a movie within those 2 years, then the rights revert back. But
okay.
Until then, we have to wait to see what happens with that.
Oh, okay.
But little fun fact for you guys, if you guys haven't heard about that.
I didn't know that. I didn't know he was owned by Universal also. So I can't wait to see him, whether Universal does something with him or not. like I hope we do get something with MCU. Hopefully they could come to a deal and make something. But yeah, no, this one slapped Doctor Strange in the second place as soon as we left the theater. I was like, wow, this was really good.
When you put in, what's the number for this one?
For this one, man, I'm stuck. If I'm being for real, because I know it has the issues that I had with it, and I know there's probably a bit more. What's another one that I could name off the top of my head besides the whole CGI thing? Damn, I'm trying to think. Oh, the chick that they revealed was married to the white guy. What's his name? What's her name? Valentina?
Oh yeah, Val.
I didn't like her in it too much. I know she was like a gag character or whatever to show that it was connected, but I feel like we could have done without her. There was no mention of her prior in the first Black Panther, or even when we meet the dude in Civil War. Like all of a sudden, I feel like they're just trying to include her because they're setting up Thunderbolts and they want her name to be out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was saying too. Is that whole plot could have just been cut from the movie. But you know, they had and that's why I say forced connectivity does not work within the MCU, and I kind of felt like that they forced that one. And yeah,
no. So number wise, I would say a 10, but because a lot of that Valentina thing is woven into the story, and
Marvel.
Listen, and the CGI, which Riri Williams still takes me out of it. It struggles between that 9.5 and 10, just because. And
so you're gonna round up?
I'm not gonna round up. I'll probably round up. Yeah, give it a 10 for the sake, but I know for me it still struggles between those numbers. Maybe after it comes out in a rewatch and it becomes history, I'll go back and be like whatever. But for now, it holds the slot for Phase 4. That's top dog.
I can't give this one to be honest and be fair, I can't give any Phase 4 project a 10. They all have its problems. Even those little CGI problems have their little hiccup. But with that, it's going to lead me to my number one. My number one, it got to go to No Way Home. Spider-Man No Way Home.
Spider-Man No Way Home.
Peak. Okay?
Yeah.
Peak. It was a great movie. The nostalgia in there was great. Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire back in there. It's so... It's gonna make me sound old, but I lived through this shit, okay? I seen Tobey Maguire in theaters as Spider-Man putting on the suit for the first time. I seen Andrew Garfield in theaters putting on the suit, and to see Tom Holland put on the suit, and then for them to all be in the same movie, jumps up in it gives it 3 points automatically. Got to give it 3 points automatically for that. The story itself was great. Not a lot of plot holes to be put unless you want to be really nitpicky and be like, Peter could have just erased whatever, want to be super nitpicky. There wouldn't be a movie, okay? Shut up.
I'm not saying anything. Actually, now that you mention it, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I know I saw people on Twitter. I think I got into this argument with some. It's argument over. I argue on Twitter. That's what I do. If you want to, but
if you want the beef, at him.
They were like, because people have been switching up on this movie, so someone was really like, if you take out the spell and remove Andrew and Toby, the movie still works. And I was like, I don't think so, simply because at that point, who does he have to fight? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He killed Mysterio. He doesn't have anyone else really besides like Scorpion and Vulture. So I was like, how does that work? The movie kind of falls apart without the spell. And they replied like, they could have done something else. And I go, they could have done something else. Then you lose the movie. You're at that point. Let me change a key element in the movie. That way the movie doesn't end up the way it does. Like does that sound smart?
No,
like, that's dumb.
It's saying like, make cake but take away milk or flour. Like it's not gonna come out as cake again. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, no, there's no any beef that can be put on Twitter about this movie. It can be settled to it's what drove the plot forward within this movie.
Exactly.
And without it, nothing would happen. Like I said, they could have finished it faster in certain ways. If you want to be nitpicky about it, you can look at it that way. But at the end of the day, it's a movie, and they're gonna make the decisions to keep the movie going for at least 2 hours and keep you entertained.
Mm-hmm.
That's what movies are for. But with this movie, Tom Holland gave a good performance. Those emotional scenes. Andrew Garfield had his time to shine. Tobey Maguire had his time to. William Dafoe just proved he can not only be a menace in his own world, but in a different universe as well. He can keep people on their toes. The CGI to de-age him was kind of maybe a missed opportunity, and I know like the suit, people were complaining that it seemed a little too glossy or too CGI-y, but I mean at the end of the day, with all the Marvel products that came out, the CGI on this one was a little bit better than all of them. Maybe because Sony kind of put a little difference into it. Who knows? But I kind of feel like Sony's been kind of killing it with their VFX, at least with the Venom movies and all that. So I kind of feel like with this one, it kind of did a little bit better. Yeah, there was a little bit funky CGI here and there. Still a MCU product. Still not gonna be perfect. But Defoe's performance, that fight in the hotel or in the apartment. Was insane.
Yeah.
Okay, insane. And I love that they have a villain within this movie that just wants to see the world burn. I feel like a lot of villains aren't like that within movies nowadays, and I feel like they need to do that every once in a while. Just somebody that just wants to see shit die. Like, give them. The reason is that they have no reason, and they'll push this button to blow themselves up and the whole building and not give two fucks about it.
Yeah.
And I felt like William Dafoe's Green Goblin gave us that, and it was great.
Yeah.
His performances were great. Alfred Molina's performance coming back as Doc Ock was great. Jamie Foxx, I know he kind of switched up his character from the original Amazing Spider-Man just a little bit, but I think it worked well within this one. Aunt May's death, we've seen death scenes within the movie. This is the first time we've seen Aunt May die on screen by one of the villains, and you felt that emotion and how hard that hit within the movie. Overall, like I said, not a perfect product. No Marvel movie, at least in Phase 4, has been perfect. Got to give it a 9.5. It gives everything, but just not far enough to give me that 10. If the CGI was a little bit better, I would have gave it that 10. If it was, honestly, if it was just the CGI, if the CGI was a little bit better, I'd give it a 10. Doctor Strange was great in this one too. Yeah. I don't really like Ned within these movies, but he was cool in this one. They could have answered the question on how he was able to get powers and everything, but probably for another day, right? Yeah, and they gave us that suit at the end for a brief second. I do feel like the final swing could have been a little bit better, but little nitpicky stuff here and there. Yeah. But 9.5 overall. Gotta give No Way Home it's credit. It's flowers. Number one for me. What you think?
I see it. I see it. I know you didn't like the other ones that I listed off too well. I know we both put Doctor Strange in top 3, right?
Mm-hmm. Yours one above mine.
Well, yeah. I see it. I totally see it. And again, it's minor things in No Way Home where I was like, no, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, because Ned still falls apart for me. Mm-hmm. The whole, I know I've said it before, and I probably forgot to cover it in my own diagnosis or whatever, but that whole Aunt May's death, while I did feel a type of way about it in the theater, seeing it and stuff, it made me sad, and I did cry. I just feel like it was a little different from how she was in the previous movies, mm-hmm. Far From Home and Homecoming. Like at first we see her as the caring aunt and stuff, and then Peter's trying to hold a secret from her, and then she finds out, and then she's cool with it, and then all of a sudden now she's back to being like his anchor and the one that tells him with the line, you know what I mean? Mm. So I mean, again, I understand But it does feel a little different, a little weird for Aunt May's character to fluctuate like that. But other than that, the CGI Aunt May Ned, like it, I can overlook that for the fact that it has so many other pros. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think one thing I can say for sure was something that stuck out was that, Sandman. I know that the actor wasn't there available to record the scenes, and to that I could have said just cut him out completely, put Mysterio in there or something, or change up the roster because if he couldn't be there, there's no point in CGIing him.
Him and the lizard.
Yeah, the lizard as well. So I kind of felt like they shouldn't have done that, but
he doesn't. This is lack of Tom's gallery, but he doesn't have many people to fight.
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
And that's why, and that's where you can tell they try to save themselves from putting themselves in a corner and not having Sony interact with the MCU and the MCU interacting with Sony. He's limited to what he has, and so Sony having to bring old characters from different movies to make it make sense. That's them saving saving it, kind of like what they did with Shang-Chi and shit. So I mean, you can tell that they're kind of making it up as they go along to make it fit. But some of them land, some of them don't land, and No Way Home, I have to say it landed. It landed for me.
And I get that. It's those things where if you nitpick and you're like,
Black Panther was supposed to be a save too, and I didn't feel like they stuck it like they were supposed to.
I think they stuck it.
No,
but
I can't agree with you.
Either way, I see what you're coming from, and if you can see what I'm saying, then there's that middle ground, and it is what it is.
No, yeah, but yeah, that's our ranking for the 7 MCU movies that have come out within Phase 4 between 2021 to 22. We're gonna be going into the new year. We're gonna have a slew of new movies coming out, new TV shows.
Oh man, phase 5, whatever, right?
Phase 5 is gonna be stacked.
It's gonna be stacked,
like too much. We will be here to review every single piece of property.
Exactly.
And by next year, we'll have another ranking for the movies that come out for the MCU in 2022. I know that we have not had full reviews for all these MCU movies for Phase 4. We will be getting them out. If there's any that you guys want to hear before the others, go ahead and give us a holler at where, Josh?
At FilmBros Podcast. That is for Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. If you're watching this, already subscribe and all that. Links will be in the description for Twitter and TikTok. And if you want to just listen to us and not watch us on the screen, Spotify and Apple Podcasts at FilmBros Podcast.
Yeah. With that, if you guys while you guys are there, follow, like, subscribe. Let us know in the comments if you guys agree with our listing. If you guys don't agree with our listing, let us know what your listing is. We want to interact with y'all and give us some ideas, give us some movies to review. We're listening, and we're here to give you our honest opinion. So
exactly.
Yeah. With that being said, we will see you guys on the next one. Have yourselves a good one.
Talk to you guys later.